Hello and welcome to 3 Minute Game Pass. I'm Nathan, and I have a hunch why you are here. You saw the 10 out of 10 reviews for Elden Ring, went out and spent $60 or $70 on PS5, popped it in, and the game swiftly and mercilessly drop-kicked your butt off of a bridge. So you went on Twitter to try and get some help, and everybody told you to get good, or give all sorts of nebulous advice that you have no way to translate into English, much less Elden Ring gameplay. So now you're angry, frustrated, and feel like you've wasted your hard-earned money, and most importantly, you see everybody else having fun and you aren't. It just isn't fair. How do I know all this? Well, because, and I can't believe I'm admitting this on YouTube, you are me, circa start of 2021. Yeah, I bought Demon's Souls and Dark Souls 1 on launch. I really wanted to like them. My friends told me they were great. I tried for 10 years to like them. I was convinced everybody was insane, that they all had Stockholm Syndrome for being trapped in Miyazaki's poison swamps for too long. These games were so frustrating and stressful, how could anyone enjoy them? Well, I found out how, and it's not what you think, and it certainly isn't get good. And now, 1 year later, I've beaten the entire Dark Souls trilogy 3 times and think they're some of the finest games ever made. So after a lot of introspection, I've decided to try and help. I know where you've been, I've felt the same anger and frustration as you do, and I've come out on the other side. So I'm going to do my best today to help you not only play Elden Ring, not only enjoy Elden Ring, but love Elden Ring like so many others. So let's jump right into it. Here are 10 tips for an absolute beginner to enjoy Elden Ring. Tip 1. Don't be afraid to run away. My first tip is a simple one. Run away. Channel your Sir Robin from Monty Python and GTFO. Unlike previous Souls games, Elden Ring is not linear. So if you explore and get stuck on something, just hop on torrent and get out of there. Go somewhere else. This actually happened to me my very first time playing. I went into that nearby wolf cave near the starting area and walked through a fog gate into a boss thinking I was all that in a bag of chips, and then proceeded to get my butt kicked 6 times in a row. I was getting frustrated and pissed off before I realized, hey, I can just leave. And I did. And you should. If an area is stomping you, just leave and come back later. That's not shameful, the game is designed for you to do that. Once you're chunky, come back and establish dominance over that boss that gave you so many problems before. If you're going through a new area and enemies look scary, just don't fight them. Just run on by and keep exploring. You can also warp out of almost any area in the game to a point of grace, assuming there's no enemies around. So if an area looks tough or it's even in the middle of a hard dungeon, just leave. Tip 2. Go out and enjoy exploring the world. Jumping off of the last tip, if you find yourself dying or getting angry, just run around and explore the world. Find points of grace and set checkpoints. Explore churches. Not only is this much less stressful, you'll find tons of great stuff that'll actually help you along your way, as well as set checkpoints that you can return to later. You'll find flask upgrades, new items, cool experiences, and so much more out there in the wilds. You'll find scary stuff like the entire poison swamp, but you can just ride on by and find neat stuff without engaging. The world is gorgeous and meant to be explored. As long as you're exploring, learning the land, finding graces and items, you're progressing. You don't need to always be in combat to get better. Tip 3. Use the summons. So if you go on Twitter, the tryhard force are out in full swing and will tell you if you use summons or a guide or anything, you're not a true fan. I have a name for these kinds of people. Douchebags. Elden Ring added a fantastic new mechanic to help you out, NPC summons. The astrologer guide tells you how to get them, but basically you can summon an assortment of creatures into every boss battle in the game to tank damage, distract the boss, and help you out. These are absolutely great in assisting you to get through parts of the game, and there is zero shame in using them, as I honestly think some bosses are designed around it. There's even a lot of areas in the game that aren't bosses where you can still do summons, indicated by the gate icon in the lower left side. So summon away. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. And speaking of summons, tip 4, play with friends or in co-op. You know, you see all those summon stations all across the world? Well, if you use an item called the Fur Calling Finger Remedy, you'll be able to see summon signs that are available. This item is easily craftable, by the way. These signs are actual players who will help you with this portion of the game, and there's lots of these players, especially right now. The community is generally fantastic, apart from the tryhards, and will absolutely come to your aid when it comes to fighting through the tricky parts. Summon as often as you need, there is no shame. Like I said, you can craft more summon items and buy them should you need more. And if you really want low risk, put your sign down and get summons to learn a tricky boss or area before doing it yourself. We are all here to help, and we want to help. We want you to succeed. Tip 5. Use a guide. Another thing frowned upon by the tryhards is a guide. Now listen, these games are intentionally very obtuse. Dark Souls 1 in particular is rather infamous for it. FromSoft builds their games this way because it gives hardcore players a chance to find all sorts of crazy stuff with little or no guidance, which provides that type of player a lot of satisfaction. However, if you are new to the Souls game, this is probably just going to be really frustrating, so let somebody else do all the work. Look up character guides, we have an astrologer one on the channel, and follow them. Look up guides to find particular items or weapons. Look up ways to beat bosses. There is literally zero shame time in this, as the game has mechanics built in to encourage cooperation and communication between players, and the internet is just an extension of this. This will help give you the confidence you need to know you're making meaningful character progression, as well as set short-term goals. Speaking of which, tip 6, set short-term goals. Elden Ring is massive. You aren't going to be able to beat this in one sitting, probably not 10 sittings, maybe not 100 sittings. Hell, you're not going to be able to just walk into the first dungeon and beat it without prep. If your goals are too lofty, you'll lose out on any sort of satisfaction in playing the game. So instead, set some short-term goals. Set a goal to journey to a specific location you see far off in the distance and find out what's over there. Set a goal to level your character to a certain point following a guide. Set a goal to find a particular item, or a goal to clear a specific dungeon, or to find a certain number of crafting materials to upgrade your weapons, and so on. And like I said, use guides to help determine these goals. With short-term goals, you'll be able to feel like you are progressing despite the game's difficulty. For me, often a goal is simply just get through this one section of a dungeon without dying, or even get further in the dungeon than I got before I actually die. So when I pull it off, I feel awesome. No need to consider yourself perfect from the beginning. Do what you like and revel in the accomplishment of pulling it off. And if you can't accomplish that goal right now, just go do another one. Tip 7, pick an easier starting class. This is going to be my only part where I give kind of more direct suggestions. Some classes start easier than others, that's just a fact. Vagabond has a great shield so that you can hide behind it for early portions of the game, as well as a ton of armor to help mitigate damage. Solid pick. Astrologer throws dingleberries at range and murders stuff before it even gets to touch him. Both these classes are excellent beginner choices and can help you have a stronger start. That being said, don't be afraid to make another character if you find the one you're playing isn't gelling. It is much more important that you find a playstyle you like than you use the most OP or broken character or build in the game. Seriously, do what speaks to you and you feel you can be successful at, no matter what some dumbass like me on YouTube says is the quote-unquote most broken thing. It is more important that you enjoy playing the game and the playstyle gels with how you want to approach things. Tip 8, don't worry, you really can't screw up. So in Dark Souls, you could literally screw up your character to a point that the game is unbeatable, but you cannot in Elden Ring. And even if you just like sold every single item you owned, you could just buy it back. There's no way to screw up permanently. So if a build isn't super specific, don't worry about it. You can swap Ashes of War on and off weapons without any penalty. The amount of runes you earn goes up exponentially, so it's never an issue. All crafting material either respawn or can be bought later, and your character can be easily reset at a later point in the game should you put a point or two in the wrong category. Don't worry too much about, quote, playing correctly. Like I said before, playing a character you feel successful at is always going to be more important than any type of stat point allocation or gear you collect. You will do fine regardless, I promise. Okay, so all these tips have been good so far, but the next two are the real meat and potatoes of this. This is the cerebral stuff. This is the stuff that's going to help you the most. I know this might end up sounding a little hokey and maybe even saccharine, but I promise you that the next 2 points are the most important when it comes to enjoying FromSoft games. Tip 9, death is part of the gameplay loop. Games have been conditioning us from the beginning that death is a failure state. From early arcade games where that meant shilling out more money, to modern games where death is honestly now kind of just a minor inconvenience and a checkpoint load with no actual consequence. Elden Ring certainly punishes you for death in both the physical progress you made as well as losing your held runes. But this is part of the game's design. Death is not failure. Giving up is. Hear me out. In most games, XP is how you progress. That little rune number in the corner would mean so much more in a traditional JRPG or in some games with very linear character progression such as, say, Skyrim. But in a Souls game, this is not the case. Let me give you an example. I was running through a dungeon. I had like 20k souls on me because I was stupid and I forgot to level up. I made it really far though, farther than I'd ever gotten, but then I died. And on my way to recover those souls, the pressure got to me, I made a stupid mistake, and I died again and I lost everything. That was essentially 2+ levels gone in a span of like 5 minutes. But here's the truth. Those 2 levels weren't going to magically make me win the area. 2 points in Vite is like 20 life. That's not going to make me suddenly godlike, but something I got from those 2 deaths was much more valuable than the runes. I learned something. Every death will teach you something. It'll teach you that an enemy can't be parried. It'll teach you the location of a dungeon up to that point, complete with the enemy locations, which is arguably the most important thing. It'll teach you that you can't make a particular jump, and it will teach you how to play your character class. This is the actual experience you get, not the stupid number that goes up in the corner. Hell, already there are guides everywhere, one coming up soon to this channel, on how to easily farm runes to make that number go up so fast that anything you get early game becomes meaningless. The runes do not matter. Don't let them discourage you. What matters is you are going to be getting better. Even if you don't feel it, you are absolutely getting better. Every death is a lesson, and you will get better through death. It is by design. Miyazaki himself admitted this. You are not a failure for dying in this game. You are just playing the game correctly. Tip 10, have confidence. You got this. Alright, so I'm going to confess something even worse than my intro, that I didn't beat Dark Souls until 2021. The first time I beat Dark Souls, I cheated. Yes, I cheated. I played on PC and I used a mod that cut all damage to 50%. The game was still tough, but I did beat it. But here's the thing. After I beat it, I immediately went back into it without the mod and beat it again. And imagine my shock when I realized that this playthrough was 1,000 times easier than the first one in nearly every way. How was that possible? What had changed? Did I finally get good? Well, I certainly did learn from all of my deaths, as previously mentioned. That was a big impact, as well as knowing the locations of the areas, which helped a ton. But what it really was confidence. These games sell themselves on being hard. They will not shut up about it. They have "prepare to die" in the tagline, and everybody on Twitter just loves parading around how hard these games are because it makes them feel better than you. And yeah, they're pretty tough, but I'm willing to bet they aren't as tough as you think. And some of that talk is getting to your head, because it certainly was for me. My first playthrough, I was a coward baby. I was scared of everything. I hated every minute of progression. Every death angered me. But as I continued, something happened. I realized that after 100 failures, I kind of was getting good at parrying. I knew where some good gear was. I figured out how to roll. Bosses have fairly common animation patterns, and that started to get ingrained. Positioning is more important than stats, and that started paying off. By the end, I had confidence in myself. I realized that everybody was lying. These games are hard, yes, but they are absolutely beatable. One playthrough was all it took for me to understand these games are designed to be broken. And more importantly, and here's my thesis for this whole thing, these games want you to succeed. Oh, they'll kill you, and they'll be mean to you, and they'll troll you, but they genuinely want you to win at them. They are designed to be beaten, to be picked apart, and to be crushed. It's how people can beat Dark Souls 1 with a USB steering wheel. It was by design that you should be able to beat it. Knowing this, you should have the confidence to know that you can beat it. I am convinced anybody can beat Elden Ring. Yes, even my grandma, if she put the time into it. Not just beat it, have a great time with it. But you need to believe that you can. You need to be confident. You need to not let the game get to you and not let the game beat you. Whenever the game kills you, laugh at it and say, "Oh, you won this one, Elden Ring, but I'm gonna come back and kick your ass next time," and then you'll do it. And it'll feel so awesome. Seriously, there's nothing quite like it. And you can do it because not only does the game want you to, but the community does, and I want you to. I genuinely believe in you, and this isn't me making a joke. If you're watching this video, you're already doing the first step. You want to enjoy this game and have a fun time and get in with everybody else who's just having a blast with it, and you absolutely can. You just need the confidence to know that you can succeed. And that's all I have for you today. I hope that this has helped you in how to enjoy playing Elden Ring. I didn't get into any specifics, but there are guides for that. Look those up. What I'm going to leave you with is this promise. It is absolutely worth pushing through. Again, until early last year, I was convinced these games were literally trash, and now I absolutely adore them. The amount of emotions you feel in FromSoft games, from elation to sadness to frustration to horror to satisfaction, is so potent that it makes every other game feel diluted in comparison. It honestly kind of ruins other games in a way, because these games are why we play gaming distilled down to its purest form. They are absolutely worth learning and getting into. That is my promise to you. And if you put in the time and follow these tips, you will have yourself a new favorite game genre, just like I did. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this pep talk helped. If you have any other tips for newcomers similar to this, please put them in the comments. Let's be positive. Let's encourage new players. There's so much vitriol and mudslinging on Twitter. It drives me crazy. I want more people to enjoy this series, and a lot of people seem content on driving them out. So let's be positive here and help newcomers do better. And if you enjoyed this video, or you know somebody that maybe needs this video, please share it with them. Give it a like. Let them know. Let's get this positivity around to get more people playing this fantastic game, because I feel it should be shared with everyone. So have yourself a fantastic day, and go and enjoy Elden Ring.